Hi there. As I make this vlog supplemental, I realize I'm becoming iller and iller. um, and I was going to say something like, when you become ill, you become still. And it's kind of quite nice. It can be quite a shamanistic experience coming up on a high temperature. Um, and you kind of sort of lie down and you see all these colours and everything is getting brighter and tighter. And I'm not much of a fighter. But I think it's best to flow with the energy that's all aglow. I wanted to make this vlog before I become too ill and to do anything. And as it is, I've had to cancel an interview on the on YouTube as it is, because I knew by the time I got to the right time zone, I'd be completely out of my zone. But I had to get this point down. I was actually talking to somebody yesterday um, about their interest in the quipper or the quipot. Quipot is singular apparently, and quipper is plural. The quipper are the shells in the Kabbalah, and they are the demons of the reverse tree of life. The tree of life has a positive mode, I suppose you might call it, and a negative or reverse. And all the Sephiroth are reversed, and they're all known by the sort of. It's a bit like going into an alternative universe where everything is wicked, um, even the women. Anyway, uh, and it's a funny thing. I was reflecting on why somebody will possibly want to do or to deal with the quipotic orders of demons. Because they don't take prisoners. They can be very hostile, very nasty, and very vindictive and mischievous, and generally they're a bad lot to deal with. Some of them are very beautiful, and some of them roar past the window like that. Um, but most of them are, you know, pretty much harbingers of death and doom. But then what's new? There's so much in this world that's trying to kill us. So it doesn't make much difference whether these things exist on the material plane that are trying to kill us, or whether they exist on the astral and they're trying to kill us. There's always something that wants to do you in. So why would you have much to do with these strange, rebellious, violent, vicious creatures, by and large? Although there's lots of different orders of demons, and some of them are less violent and vicious than the others. That's true. We're not just dealing with one sort of kind of demonic creature like in Exorcist or something. Where obviously that demon was a thoroughly nasty piece of work, according to our point of view. Of course, they don't think they're nasty at all. They just think they're doing their job or being true to their natures, which we're often told to do, aren't we? We're all told to be true to our natures, and then when it's in our nature to be psychopathic, people don't like it then, do they? So, we don't like things when they are true to their natures, when their nature is to destroy everything in their path. We don't like that particularly, of course. Well, I mean, who would? But why deal with them? And I think it's a very interesting, it's got a lot to do with Gnosis, although I'm really not quite sure what it has to do with Gnosis. But to me, it's like when you enter into the reverse tree of life, into the shells, where the shells pertain or where they dominate. Obviously, you're entering in, and you enter in through Gebura, by the way, which is the sphere of Mars, the fifth Sephiroth. And in some mysterious way, that connects you to Darth, which is the so-called false Sephiroth in the abyss. and that's really the portal, some say, to enter into the realms of the Quiper. And these realms are in constant motion. They are chaotic. They are tumultuous. um, they are in turmoil. Anyway, and it's all pretty much like a hell dimension gone crazy, like, and everything is like constant battle to survive for everybody there. And everything there, and for the magician that enters there, you enter at your definitely at your own risk, and don't say we didn't warn you, like, but but anyway, but the thing about it is that I can imagine that a left-hand path magician is a bit like a fish, and the fish has to swim forward all the time in this ever moving sea, massive water. So the water is moving, and the fish is moving relative to the water, and the fish has to keep going forward, otherwise it dies. Otherwise, it has to keep being active in order to keep breathing. So the activity is the breath, and it can't ever stop. I mean, a fish can't go to sleep. It has to keep moving and moving its gills all the time. And the gills move with the forward motion. So, even if the motion is fairly slight and not too kind of strenuous, it still has to keep this motion going. And it's always going with the tides, and going with the waves, and going with the movement of the oceans, and following the temperature gradients of the oceans as well, no doubt. And it's another image, basically. It's like, you imagine dominoes, a whole line of dominoes, and one domino goes the other and hits the other domino forward of it over, and that domino hits another domino. And basically, being a magician of the left-hand path is being at that point where one domino hits another, and then it goes forward and hits another. So you're following a chain reaction of dominoes that are toppling over. And you're entering into a pretty much, a completely unstable, unbalanced situation. And the only balance, I suppose, is really is attained by keeping going, keeping toppling forward, as it were. And so I think there's something rather noble, I suppose, about the desire to be in a continuously unbalanced situation, and in a continuous sphere of chaos, keeping going forward, toppling over with everything that's toppling over around you. I mean, I have met people like that in real life. Their lives dominated by drugs, and their lives are almost in complete continuous chaos. As they keep running out of money and having to find more money for the drugs, and they just their lives are, I mean, the stress that they live under is as bad, if not worse, than the most stressed out CEO of the biggest multinational company you've ever come across. And there's no let up to it either. They're continuously going forward, continuously active on the world, and the world is continuously active on them. And I should imagine that on some etheric level, some astral level, this is what dealing with the Quiper, or the Quipotic demons, Quipotic orders of demons, rather, is like. It's like, you're sort of really, you're in a jet stream. I mean, you're being dragged along by forces that are active, and forces that are external to you and beyond your control. So you're continuously out of control, I suppose, really. I mean, it's a bit like a shamanistic experience, only I suppose the shaman, they do come back into stillness to regenerate their psychic batteries. And I mean, you'd have to, otherwise, you burn up pretty quickly, I suppose, really. But as Jim Morrison said, death to the people that like to go down slow. his idea was to go into death burning, or go down burning, go through the sky as a flaming comet, and be continuously shedding ice as it went round the sun, and never stopping, and never slowing down, and never reaching stillness. So obviously, it's kind of like the anti-yoga. You've got yoga, which is the great stillness, sit, sat, ananda, and this is the opposite. This is like a churning ocean, a boiling ocean of fire that never stops, that never ceases. A bit like being in a city that never sleeps. Is it New York? Is it the city that never sleeps? And certainly, that most cities in the world are like that. But of course, eventually, I suppose people get sick en masse, and then everything comes to a grinding halt. Everything, when you're ill, you become still, and the whole world outside my window, my front window now, has become very still. Nobody's going on the streets. No one is going on the roads. The bare minimum traffic, which will possibly get less and less. And it's almost like we're going into stillness, having been in chaos. So somehow, I suppose, in a way, maybe we are leaving the reverse quipotic tree of life, and entering into the great stillness of the real tree of life, which is full of the light Sephiroth. So maybe the world is being transformed, and it will become very still as it becomes very ill. And just as I'm becoming stiller and stiller as I become iller and iller now, at this particular moment in time. And so maybe we have been, magicians of the Quipper magicians all this time, but we're actually ceasing to be these black magicians, and we are coming out of this darkness, of this chaos, and of this ceaseless activity. The eye that never closes, and we're sort of going into an eye that does close, sort of the eye of Shiva is closed, and this will bring great peace and calm. But of course, strangely enough, I mean, I'm not feeling peaceful or calm. Well, my body is not feeling peaceful or calm. It's in a big turmoil physically because of or whatever is attacking me and my immune system. But mentally, I'm becoming more and more kind of still, and more sanguine about everything, and less sort of preoccupied and worried about anything, or anxious about anything. I've sort of gone almost going beyond time. I'm slipping in beyond time as well at this stage. Anyway, I can't go on talking now. My ability to speak is going as well. So of course we do descend into silence. We go beyond contradiction. We go beyond time. We go beyond thought itself, and into this immeasurable silence, which has a voice. Nevertheless, has a voice. It's perhaps not the voice in the silence. The silence is the voice. The silence is the voice of God, and it's a beautiful silence. It's not the silence of somebody who's repressed, not the silence of the Black Brothers, as Crowley said. It's a deep mystical silence, and in that silence, so much is said, and yet everybody is talking and no one says a word. I love that from the great John Lennon, and I think it's fantastic. And nobody told me it would be like this, he said. But it's absolutely true, and all this stuff on social media, everyone is talking, and uploading, and actually nothing is being communicated at all, really. I don't think, anyway. And we're a bit like goldfish, with a memory of 3 seconds now. And we're just sort of going through this ocean of information, and none of it means anything. None of it has any. What does any of it actually mean anyway? It doesn't have any meaning. But maybe if we stop and become still, we'll suddenly come out of this insane sort of demonic universe that we're in, and we're entering into these 10 spheres of light, which is the true Kabbalah. So we're looking at, if you like, we're looking at the Kabbalah from the wrong side. We're looking at the back side of the Kabbalah instead of the front side as well. So that's why I'm thinking that, that this it was interesting talking to this magician of the left-hand path, because it's almost like he is consciously doing what we're all unconsciously doing. I mean, we're all unconsciously in the spheres of the demonic realms, with our ceaseless activity and rubbish that we all speak and spout, and the ceaseless activity and the avarice and the greed and the fear and the jealousy and the ambition. But he is sort of consciously going into this crazy world. And I suppose then he's going to be able to look at the Kabbalah from the backside, and then go through into the spheres of light, and which might be quite good. And we need to follow that. We need to sort of bounce off his ambition, I suppose, to dance with the demons, and we need to bounce off his ambition and really go into the stillness of a focused consciousness, so that we don't, that basically, and people don't like him. Perhaps they don't like him and call him a black magician because he's really a mirror reflecting where we are at and how we are actually behaving. I mean, he's having truck with the quipotic demons, but we are actually there all the time. Do you know what I mean? So we don't like to see what he is doing, because we are actually doing the same thing as he is, but we don't realize that we're doing it. But then, as soon as we look into his eyes that are a mirror, then perhaps we shall see that we are in a mess, and that all we have to do basically is get out of this mess consciously, and then we shall, we shall be out of this sphere of chaotic, this demiurgic madness that we're in, and maybe it's a good thing to become ill, because then you become so still, and that could be what we sort of need to experience in order to gain spiritual liberation. Blimey, I really have gone. My mind I've gone mush.